The supervisor of Cheektowaga says now is the time to talk taxes and finances for next year.
Brian Nowak is raising a warning flag about the budget for the upcoming fiscal year. He joins us now to explain why. Brian, thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me on.
So you say you are looking to balance the budget picture. What does that mean?
This last 4 budgets we had, 21 through 2024, taxes collectively went up on the tax levy about 3%, a little more. Spending went up over 10%. There were 2 years where there was a 0% increase in the taxes, but the spending increased a collective 5%. So we've already spent the money, whether it's through agreements with the 5 labor unions we have, infrastructure work we have done, other labor materials we've needed. Point being is that we've spent the money already. Now we've got to pay the bill.
Outpacing revenues is never a good thing, particularly when you're dealing with taxpayers' money. But when you're outpacing revenues, not just 1 year, but multiple years in a row, and by up to 7%, what does that do for you looking at 2026? Because like you said, the money's already been spent, or at least some of it has.
The other side of the coin is to get balanced, we have to talk about, are we going to cut services, or are we going to raise taxes to get this stuff into balance over multiple years? You see a lot of municipalities, they used ARPA funds for all sorts of different things. And whether you've seen in the town of Tonawanda, the various villages, city of Buffalo, Dunkirk had an 85% increase. We're not looking at anything close to that. But a lot of towns and villages have had to go above these tax caps in recent years. And it's looking like that is one of the options we're going to have to consider this year.
Let's talk a little bit about that tax cap process, because we live in New York State, there is a certain process that towns, villages, municipalities must go through if they want to exceed that tax cap. Could you walk folks through how that will work for you guys?
So long and short, a town supervisor, when they prepare a budget, and the town board, when they vote for one, can increase up to 2% or an inflation rate or a version of 2% without having to pass a local law. I think we may well be in a position budget-wise, because our wage increases alone, our salary increases, are going to eat up a lot of, if not the entire tax cap. So we're going to have to do a call for public hearing first, have that public hearing, and I think we should leave it open for multiple meetings to get public input, to have the town board members really hear what people are thinking and really deliberate on this. And then following that, the board can consider a local law to exceed the tax cap, and that would require a 60% majority or more from board members, which is 5 out of 7.
You were always very big about transparency. Why do you think that is going to be especially important here?
Well, I mean, you see in a lot of other places that these discussions come up in September after a budget is written. In the situation with our board, we've got folks with a diversity of opinion. We got to start early and really talk about this. So having 10 months to talk about this instead of 1 month gives an opportunity for the public to understand what we're dealing with, really get their input instead of listening to a handful of people that make a lot of noise, and really consider what our options are. With 10 months, we can really be thoughtful about what services would we want to cut, if any, how much of a tax increase are we willing to eat and pass on to residents, and what balance do we want to find. It's hard to do that with 1 month. It's a lot easier to do that when you have 10, but again, look, numbers don't lie. I mean, we already spent the money, so we have to get serious about making sure this budget is balanced for the years to come.
Knowing that we still have 10 months to go, that you still need to hear from the public, that you still need to hear from the members of the town board as well, do you have any idea, conceptual or otherwise, about what you guys could be looking at relative to exceeding the tax cap and or the potential cuts of services? Because you've been on this couch before saying Cheektowaga's already stretched pretty thin.
Yeah. I mean, dollars and cents wise or percentage wise, we haven't even totally closed out the 2024 budget. So we need to figure out where that's at. Might have a better idea that at the earliest, the end of February. And then from there, if there's unexpected costs that come in, if there's unexpected savings that come in, maybe we find consensus on a service cut or two. There's so many variables right now and so many unknowns that it's hard to put a number on that. But this is part of the answer to the range of options that we have, is exceeding the tax cap somewhat, because, as I said, we've already made agreements with 3 of our labor unions. In my 25 budget, we have money set aside to cover wage increases for the other 2 unions, but we're going to have to pay for this stuff going forward. And it very may well be the case that salary increases alone will eat up this 2% tax cap we have available to us.
And one more time before we let you go, do you have an idea as to when you think these discussions will start?
The resolution to call for the public hearing is on the agenda for January 14th. If that's approved by the town board, that would begin on January 28th. But the point of coming on for or going out to talk to anybody is it has to start today, even if there's not an approval of a resolution by the board right away or formal hearings in front of the town board. We got to start talking about this now.
Something we will be keeping our eye on all of 2025. Brian Nowak, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks again.
Appreciate it, Brian.
Take care.